Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class Podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm Travis.
And I'm George.
Guys, it is getting near midnight. I am starving. Is anyone else concerned?
Not at all.
Okay, good. Because we just watched Gremlins. It was my first time. Guys, Gremlins has happened.
This was your first time?
This was my first time, and we already
He's
covered
a
that last
gremlin
week,
virgin.
but you didn't listen. That's okay. You've had a lot going on this week. George is in his new location. Congratulations
Yeah.
to
Digs.
George.
New studio, new house. new
Exciting.
everything.
And the Christmas season is upon us, so we've entered that kind of holiday mood for this one, and I'm
Holiday mood, our style.
feeling like threatened by Christmas gifts this year. So thank you to everybody who made Gremlins for making me weary of whatever's under the tree.
Or in the tree.
Ooh.
What a wonderful, heartwarming Christmas movie this was.
Uplifting content.
I mean,
Uplifting.
Uplifting. Somebody told me, hey, Phoebe Cates is in it, and I was like, great. She always makes everybody just feel good to be alive.
And then the story happens.
And then I watched the movie. Jeez Louise. Right off the bat, guys, as a first-time watcher of Gremlins, I have to ask, who is the target audience for this movie? Because I don't think it's a kid's movie.
No.
But some of the dialogue for this 17 or 18-year-old kid definitely sounds like it was written for a 9-year-old. So I don't know if that's a victim of rewrites. I don't know if that is a development hell situation where they realize like, oh, we can't have suicide and little children, so we've got to have older children so that they can talk about suicide.
Dude, it's this weird, like, dark kind of.
It's nowhere near as dark as it was going to be. So.
It's like so weird
because
because it's so. There's nothing like it.
for me, growing up, it's Jaws for children.
Jaws for children.
Or Piranha. There was a movie in the 70s called Piranha, and it was basically Gremlins with fish. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Not the band Fish.
No, not the band Fish. But it was directed by the same guy. So it
Okay.
kind of had that. There was another movie called Critters that came out in the 80s. Same feel. Ghoulies had the same feel. I'm sure he's going to bring up Elves. Same kind of
Elves?
idea.
Are we talking about elves?
Well, I've never seen it. But I know in the 80s there were a lot of movies about little things that could kill you.
Well, let me tell you
Okay.
right off the bat, there's no way that the movie Elves gets made if Gremlins hadn't been made years earlier. And for our regular listeners who know I've talked about Elves since the beginning of the show, and these jokers won't let me watch it because it's so shitty, I am going to be appearing on the Hysteria Continues podcast. That'll launch the 22nd on YouTube, the 24th on Podcatchers, discussing Elves with that crew. Hopefully, they don't hate it as much as Travis and George would have hated it, because
Nice.
Gremlins is better than Elves. I'm not gonna
Oh, that's good.
lie. This is a better experience than watching Elves. Although, not as much incest and not as many Nazis in Gremlins. So,
Right.
not a perfect movie.
Well, there's it's hard to talk about a movie that is so part of you with people that didn't have that nostalgia for it. It's
You know what I thought when I was watching the movie? If I was a kid, this would scare the shit out of me.
yes.
Oh,
this
yeah.
This is a good barometer for a scary movie for a kid.
No.
Because there's just enough comedy in it.
No,
where
I
it's-
think it's like if I was a kid, I'd be scared shitless.
Huh?
Like,
I don't
like
know.
I think it's one of those movies, kind of like Poltergeist.
Right.
You know, like what's his face? Just made E.T.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Then it's like, oh, take your kids to see Poltergeist.
Right.
I think it's like that. Like it was kind of
It's exactly like that.
Yeah,
It's
it's like-
E.T.,
it's like,
but
oh,
it can
let's-
kill you.
yeah. Like, look at these fuzzy little gremlins. Aren't they cute? It's a Christmas movie. Bring your kids. And then that.
Well, I guess that's a good time to mention that this is the first movie that got a PG-13 rating. They created PG-13
Oh, wow.
for this movie.
Continuing our discussion of how ratings work.
Right.
That's
so
good.
it was not an R rating, although reading some of the original.
Although I wish it was.
If you read about the original script, you would know why it was going to be R.
Tell me more about the original script.
I bookmarked it because I have to read it because Dan needs to hear this.
I don't hate this movie, by the way.
Yeah, no, I don't think I hate it. It was weird.
I love this movie. It is definitely weird. It's a hard first watch for somebody who wasn't expecting anything, or expecting one thing and they get this. All right.
I had seen it once before a very long time ago, but I don't think I really watched it closely like I did this time. Since I watched it closely, it just weirded me out even more.
All right. So Billy's dog Barney gets killed.
Nice.
And eaten by the gremlins.
Nice.
Billy has his mother's decapitated head thrown at him.
Wow. What?
Pete, who is the Corey Feldman character, the strange 9-year-old hanging out with a 25-year-old.
Yeah.
Pete gets his throat ripped out, and a McDonald's full of customers basically turns into a bloodbath. Kate's story about her father's death is actually one part of the original script that stayed. Spielberg didn't want it in the movie, but Joe Dante argued that it fit the idea of the film perfectly, which he's right. That, comedic awkwardness. But, yeah, so there's a lot of horrifying things that did not make the movie.
Well, what was the other part of the story?
No, the story.
Dad.
No, that actually remained. The whole fact that he.
Oh, so there wasn't another part
in
of the story. It was just like they wanted to cut it, but they didn't.
He kept that part.
Okay.
But they took out the decapitated mom's head.
Well.
And throats being. It's kind of like Jurassic Park. If you read the book Jurassic Park, way more people die. I think one or two of the kids die.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and the Malcolm character is actually like developed and not just a skeezy creep. So that's cool.
And
in the book.
the old man is actually a bigger dick in the book. So, yeah. And this is Chris Columbus, which blows my mind as well. He
discovered America.
Yes, he did, and he
directed Home Alone. So
he directed Home Alone, and he wrote this movie.
Wow, dude's been around a long time.
It's wild, man. And to think, because I've seen Piranha, I've seen The Howling, I've seen Joe Dante's work with the Masters of Horror series from back when I was in college. Like, I'm familiar with his work.
The Burbs.
Oh, The Burbs, of course. And so then you watch this, and it's just like, oh, okay, this looks like a kid's movie. It looks like Furbies. Great, we've got Furbies, and if you get them wet, trouble happens. Oh, God.
I forgot about Furbies until just now. Oh, my God, dude, Furbies were so creepy, weren't they?
Oh, my God. They weren't allowed in the White House because they were afraid they might be surveillance devices.
That's, good call.
That is a good call.
But it is funny. Like, I imagine people that had never seen Furbies or were born before Furbies were a thing, watching this movie, you probably see it a different way than all of us who, like me, hadn't seen it till now, but I already went through seeing Furbies in the late 90s and thinking like, oh, God, those are so creepy. So now Gizmo is probably more creepy to me in his cute form than he ever was to a child like mid-80s seeing this on VHS for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked Gizmo.
Howie Mandel.
He was a good little
Howie
dude.
Mandel, Bobby's World, man. Before it was
Howie
Bobby's
Mandel
World,
does
he
a voice.
was Gizmo.
There's a lot of familiarity in this for you. Judge Reinhold's in it.
Yeah, Judge
Yes, he
popped
is.
up. There you go.
Yes, he is, and he's got another profession.
Yes. And,
Which we should play which profession with Mr. Reinhold.
Does the town look familiar to you?
Should it?
Yeah.
What's it from?
It's Hill Valley.
Oh, for
from
real?
Back to the Future.
Oh, now
Is it really?
Now I have to watch this movie again. Damn it.
Wow.
It's the same exact set
That's hilarious.
as the clock tower.
Son of a bitch. Yeah, I didn't even catch that. Gotta watch it again now.
There you go.
I'm still trying to figure out what exactly is a gremlin, like, in culture. That's not something I'm familiar with.
Bugs Bunny had there was a character, Gremlins on Bugs Bunny, that would make all the gadgets and the planes and stuff break. So there's culture. There's a callback to the pilots of World War II when they said that, things that weren't working. They basically said, kind of like the guy in the Dick Miller character. There's a gremlin in my cab. The guy he kept saying buying foreign cars. Like he had that that World War II came home and has animosity attitude. About the gremlins in their planes and tanks
and cars
and cars,
everything, and TVs.
Because I think the old man, the grandfather, he was stereotypical of that old wise man, but it wasn't
soothsayer.
Yeah, but it wasn't. To me, it didn't seem like it was poking fun. It kind of showed, I don't know, a history, a respect.
He was Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, but a little more mysterious.
Yes. Well, I can say that as an electrician, we troubleshoot gremlins all the time. It's not just a mechanical thing.
Right.
It's gremlins everywhere. All kinds of things. Especially tube amplifiers, too.
Yes.
Yeah. Tube amplifiers always have gremlins.
I would be interested to know, because I don't watch a lot of modern Asian cinema. I watch a lot of the genre stuff, the horror and the kung fu and stuff like that. But in movies made in other regions, not just Asia, do they have New York districts of their big cities where there's nothing but fat white men selling assault weapons and hot dogs? I really want to know, because we always have the Chinatown in all these big cities that have the mysterious culture stuff. Overseas, do they have an America district with baseball bats and?
No, what happens to other countries is much worse. Well, I don't know. Well, worse, maybe not is the best word, but we just infiltrate their entire culture and just change it, from the foundation up.
Gotcha.
We we put McDonald's everywhere.
Well, got it. If I'm
and
wrong.
Burger Kings, and we sell them Coca-Cola, and then they're just like, we are Western now.
But see, Chinatown isn't an American thing.
Oh, well, I mean,
isn't it the based in the immigrants that kind of assimilate to the American way, but they also have their little sections that they can do their culture in? Because I know that in Philly we have China.
Yeah, I don't think
area.
Dan is saying that. He's just observing. I think
right.
It's true,
but we do that as well. You can go to Florida and find a bunch of Philly guys that open cheesesteaks places.
Yeah, but all right next to each other. In one block.
It's possible.
Oh man, I just drove through Philly town in the middle of Orlando.
Yeah, Philly. Yeah,
it was
exactly.
great, except everybody yelled the F word at me, and somebody tried to hit me with a bat.
Well, I went to a Steelers bar in Orlando to watch a game, and it was all decked out in Pittsburgh stuff, and it was pretty awesome.
I guess those cool. Team sports bars are a fun example of that kind of insurgent nature of Americans. Plus, in Bangalore when we ran across the Levi jeans store next to a Pizza Hut. I mean, maybe that is, it's not a section; it's just slowly taking over.
Yeah, I always looked at it as a place where people could feel at home.
In Civilization, Civ 5, I think it is. If your culture gets too great, the other countries complain about, now my people are wearing your blue jeans. And then I saw that jeans store in India, and I was just like, oh, I've got the message about this in the game. Sorry.
Yeah. It's true.
But Gremlins, Phoebe Cates.
Gremlins!
What the hell?
Phoebe Cates.
The thing about this movie that I hate the most, and I guess I don't hate it, but the thing that irks me the most is it's scary enough without being too violent that I could see this being like a poltergeist, you're fourth, you're fifth, you're maybe, probably by sixth grade they're watching other stuff, but fourth and fifth grade, you're interested in scary movies. Well, here's one that we can watch together and it'll scare the pants off you. But then the thing where they're and that's why I don't believe in Santa, or that's how I knew there wasn't a Santa Claus. It's well, shit.
Right.
You gotta wait till they're fully out of that loop, or else you'll ruin the whole thing.
Well, yeah, I don't know. That's been done. Even the movie Elf does that.
It plays with it, but in this one, she straight up says,
"Yeah, she."
That's when I found out there wasn't, and there's no pushback. You know, there's no miracle
Yeah.
of Christmas in this movie. There's just a bunch of gremlins throwing severed heads around.
It's just it's dark. It's so dark.
I know. Can we talk about the mom?
Sure. I mean, I'd rather talk about Phoebe Cates, but sure.
No, let's
the mom.
talk about Phoebe Cates.
She's-
because this movie is the movie I basically fell in love with her.
That
It was
explains a
before I saw
lot
her.
about you, actually.
She's wonderful.
Yes.
She's a
And then I saw her
wonderful-
Fast Times. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah, she's wonderful.
Yes.
That's all I need to say.
She's adorable.
Girl Next Door,
Still is.
Phoebe Cates.
Yeah. What do you mean, Dan? It explains a lot. What?
Oh, just that you would fall in love with a girl
What?
that's so like, you know, depressed and dark and
No.
Dude, he
I
let
never
that
even
sit.
saw her
He
as
let that
depressed.
sit for a good 30 seconds. And he's like, "What do you mean by that?"
Wait, what?
Well, when we did Fast Times, I said, you know, she's hot, but like I fell in love with her when she was wearing a turtleneck and a sweater.
Yeah,
Like, it's
Yeah, and
to
talking about
me-
her dad dying in the.
But when
in
you're a
the
kid, you don't
flu.
even hear that story. You're just waiting for Mrs. Deagle to get thrown
that's true.
from the stairs.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe
I
I
didn't-
am. Maybe I'm not able to put myself into the perspective.
you're watching
of
it
a
as an
kid.
adult. I'm watching it like right before she tells that story. I think they have the bar scene where there's a friggin' gremlin flasher, and Mrs. Deagle goes flying because they were all singing carols. I mean, there's so much silliness in this movie.
How did Mrs. Deagle's stair lift malfunction like that?
Well, you know, when we
Gremlins.
used to play Roller Coaster Tycoon, you
Had a
could make
gremlin in
the
it.
track
Yeah.
really, really short, and then you could turn the speed really, really high, and then that exact thing would happen.
I think they do show the gremlin like fussing with the
Do they? I missed it.
because they show them fussing with the cops' brakes
Okay.
before they have their incident, and then they show the gremlin messing with her chair.
How did I miss that?
Because
I don't know. That's fine.
yeah, they're definitely playing off of the creatures in the machinery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
making the machines malfunction.
Well, and they sure know a
What-
lot about traffic. Like, those guys got in there for the traffic lights. We're like, hey, we're going to do this one thing to make all this calamity.
Yeah.
I mean, once you get to the movie theater and they're all in there singing "Hi Ho," I mean, it's definitely a nice balance of silly. It has that American Werewolf feel, where it's like when it's scary, but when it's trying to be silly, it's silly,
Yeah.
and when it's the humor is there, like all the shit in American Werewolf, all the stuff with the friend, you know, Meatloaf. He says a lot of funny things.
I was thinking when you brought the movie up and you're explaining what you mean, I'm thinking of the theater scene
Mhm.
when he's there, you know, totally almost completely disintegrated or, you know, rotting. And then all the people that he killed the night before
Right.
were all suggesting how he
Hello?
could kill himself. And it's just I don't know if that's scary. It's certainly funny.
It's funny. It's dark. To me, Gremlins falls in the line of American Werewolf, Shaun of the Dead,
Yeah.
Evil Dead. Like there's funny.
If Gremlins wasn't so dark, it wouldn't be interesting at all.
No.
And that's what that's what does it.
And it's from the beginning. Like when Mrs. Deagle comes into the bank and she's like, "I'll kill your dog."
Yeah.
Like she turns into the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah, there's some real Wizard of Oz stuff going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
And-
weird little, movie nods.
Mm-hmm. Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah. Just a kind of a pastiche
Oh,
of a lot of different things.
I'm like,
He was gonna make fun of me,
I
but
was
it's
like
there.
Travis Wedge's chainsaw and everything. I'm
Yes.
like, holy shit, yeah.
It's in there
Yeah.
at the end.
Well, and I'm not
Aha.
fully convinced that the neighbor who hates the foreign cars, what's his name in this? I forget.
I don't know.
You know,
Dick Miller is
neighbor guy.
is the actor.
Yeah.
That could absolutely be grown up Ralphie or Randy from Christmas
Yes.
Story. Like the ages are just about right.
Yeah.
To where it's just because it feels like their street in Ohio. I didn't realize
Mm-hmm.
that it was Back to the Future. That's amazing. But I just get that feel like, okay, this is the same basic vibe they gave us a couple of years before in Christmas Story, only now there's fucking Gremlins,
Yes.
which is fun.
I don't know.
That shot of the one bad gremlin in the tree
Yes.
is so good
Terminator style.
that I almost like rewound it to watch it again. Just the way they frame it is so perfect that you see it the first time. There's no mistaking it. A little bit of dramatic irony because the lady has no idea. So good. Well played, guys. Well played.
What's good with her? Like I said, let's go to the mom. Like
Yes, let's go to the mom.
how many gremlins are created from the water? 6?
Lots.
No. The first incident.
Oh, I don't
There's,
know.
Like the main one with the mohawk stripe, and then I think there's like 5 more in the house.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, sure.
She knocks off like 70% of them. Like she takes care of almost all of them.
Well, and you know from the very
by
first
herself.
scenes, like when they're showing the inventor dad stuff, you see that juicer and you're like, oh, a gremlin's going in that juicer. Like, there's no way a gremlin doesn't go in that juicer. So when it happens, you're just like, hey, already? Like, I thought they'd save that for
But
the
he never
finale.
goes in the juicer. He goes in the blender.
I never thought any of that.
She's making cookies.
No, when the gremlin went into the blender, and I just thought I can't believe I'm seeing this. Like that's what I thought. And then the same thing with the microwave. I'm like, they're not going to show that. Oh, they showed it.
Yeah.
Like I can't believe I'm watching this.
Well, again, friend of the show, Chris Wallace is the special effects guy.
Okay. What else did he do? Because I was, you know what I was thinking? Oh, okay. Because I'm thinking Cronenberg.
Yes, it's very The Fly.
I'm seeing it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just like
it's like
Cronenberg
I'm
everywhere.
seeing the countdown on the microwave. I'm seeing it. He's wincing. I'm seeing it.
Yeah,
and it's like an explosion inside of an explosion.
That's what I love
all
about
over
it,
the glass,
dude. That's like, yeah,
the kitchen's a
so
mess.
good.
Like he goes into the blender and doesn't just like you don't see his feet twitch. Like
it's
the
just
whole kitchen's covered in green. Yeah. Like they do it right. The one gets decapitated, and it's not. There's no cut. Like his head flies into the fireplace.
Yeah.
And then the Terminator one's inside the tree, which is sweet.
Yeah.
But even the transformation, like up in the cocoons, like it's creepy. Like you're saying, like a kid seeing that movie, it's a good barometer to see a kid's like, oh, I want to watch a scary movie for Halloween. You're like, all right, we'll watch.
You mean Christmas?
What's that?
You mean Christmas?
Well, yeah, it's a Christmas movie, but it's scary.
All right, by the time Halloween comes around, we're getting into the holiday
Yeah.
season, I guess.
It's definitely not a Christmas movie for kids.
Dude.
But it's definitely a yearly watch. I definitely watch this.
You know who I
once
think
a
would
year.
love this movie?
Who?
Your daughter.
Vienna
Mhm.
would not like this. I'm just getting her to watch Jim Carrey's The Grinch.
She's 5.
She'll be 6.
Yeah.
You know what? She might.
She does, though.
She might.
She's like, she watches Walking Dead and stuff.
We'll give her a try. Nah, she
pretends like she's
pretends
not
to,
watching
yeah,
it.
she's like, I don't know. We could have a problem, but yeah, she maybe next year. We'll see.
Yeah.
I tried to do it this year, but the kids were not interested. I'm like, come on.
You can't. Yeah. You gotta show this to a kid early enough where it scares the pants off them.
Yes. And early enough so there's nostalgia, or then they're in the boat that you guys are in, where you're like late to the game, and you're like,
I don't think that really affected me at all.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it gave me a different perspective. I wasn't scared shitless, but
Right.
I was also like still dumbfounded as to like
What
I
I was
can't believe
nervous
I'm
about
seeing
was
it.
the comedy, because it is very dated.
the comedy.
Yeah, like the flash dance, nod and the flashing gremlin, like all the bar scene.
Hey, they
Yeah.
did the flasher thing
playing
in
poker.
Halloween Ends this year, so it's still
That's
right
true.
for the.
That's true. Did you notice they were in the old poker picture of the dogs playing poker?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just so many things in this movie that are dated, but I guess fall fine. I just watched this so much nostalgia that I was like, I'm not sure how you're gonna like it, especially Dan, because I'm like, it's science fiction.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the
It's that grounded science fiction that I can stand, right? Like it's in a
Right.
world that I recognize as a real world, and from there, crazy stuff happens. So it's fine.
True.
No complaints
Okay.
about the science stuff. I mean, it's a goofy enough movie that you're clearly not worried about them, checking the science with their local zoologist or whatever.
Right.
Those furry eggs were gross as hell, though. Ew.
They were very The Fly.
But I don't know if I really gave this movie a fair evaluation, and I'll tell you why. Opening credits of the movie start, and Darlene Love starts singing my favorite Christmas song,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, okay, I love this fucking movie. This movie gets it. That recording by Phil Spector where like she's clipping the preamps. It's my favorite vocal performance probably ever, at least on a Christmas song for sure. It's the kind of thing that Phil Spector might still get into heaven because he recorded her singing that song.
Mm.
But it's only if she'll let him in, because, she's amazing.
The other song that stuck with me was the from when I was a kid was the "Do you hear what I hear?" Like it's such a corny Christmas song, but when you put it juxtaposed with what's about to happen,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay.
It's kind of like
It's
Mr. Sandman
kinda
in
creepy.
Halloween 2,
Yeah.
where
Yes.
like you've ruined that song for everybody now because all we can think of how creepy it is.
It's the shadow of the gremlin on the wall when it looks at her. Because I remember that being in the trailer, and I was like, yeah, I want to see this movie because that's really cool. And then it had that feel of the Howling, which you haven't seen yet, but it
No.
definitely had that creepy score whenever something's going on with the gremlins. Like it's just, I don't know. There's a lot of reference in this movie that you don't know yet.
I thought the score was awesome.
Yeah, the score's good. Did you know that Tim Burton almost directed this?
That would have been cool.
Would that have been his first movie?
Yeah, because he did. I think Spielberg saw Frankenweenie, which was like a college film he made, and I don't know when did Big Adventure come out.
I want to say like 86.
86. Okay,
Somewhere.
When
in
are we
that.
watching Frankenweenie?
we're not watching Frankenweenie.
Franco
Why not?
Weenie.
Sounds like an American classic.
No, it's. I mean, they redid it a couple years ago as an animated movie, but I think the one he made was like a Super 8 stop motion, like college film.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something I'm watching.
Wow.
But the animated one, I think, is a full-length film.
It's got a good title anyway.
Frankenweenie.
I
It's
want
kinda
to
like Pet
see
Sematary.
his Hansel and Gretel TV movie. Supposedly real fucking scary.
I bet.
But
I
one
mean,
of those
I love,
like lost
I love Sleepy
to
Hollow.
history type things. So
Like a lot of people didn't like Sleepy Hollow, but I liked it.
I've never seen it.
I like.
I'm not a big
No.
Depp guy.
No,
No. He always
it's early Depp.
he looks like he needs a shower all the time.
Yeah, but that kind of works when it's like 18th century.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I'm a big Depp guy.
Yeah, we can
I like.
we
him.
can tell from that one time you saw him in a movie and thought he was John Mayer.
He looks exactly like John Mayer in that movie.
Oh my god.
He definitely. I kind of laugh at girls that are look at him now and they're like, "Oh, he's so sexy." I'm like, he definitely looks like he needs a shower. He probably hasn't showered in a while, but he probably does every day. But he just doesn't look. I don't know. George is looking at me like, "Why are we talking about Johnny Depp's
Yeah,
sexiness?"
I mean, I don't care about the way he looks.
I love his acting.
regularly. I'm thinking of, I don't know, all the roles. He was great in Blow. He was great in Donnie Brasco was pretty good.
I think he's maybe made 2 bad movies.
He's Captain Jack Sparrow. Like,
Yeah, no,
he's good.
He's gold. Take away Nick of Time, and I think you're good. There's one other one.
he's good. I think he's up there with
DiCaprio,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. DiCaprio's another one who's just fantastic.
You should see them in the same movie.
I think I may have.
What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
Yes,
Yes.
I have.
Great
I
movie.
have. And in fact, when I was thinking about all the roles that Johnny Depp did, that movie came to mind. I was like, no, that's DiCaprio.
No.
But he is in that movie.
They're
He's
both in
just
it.
not. He's just not Gilbert Grape. He's the brother, right?
DiCaprio's really young, and he plays a very mentally challenged kid.
Yeah, but
Very,
Johnny
very
Depp
good.
is his brother, right? Or
Yes.
yeah. It's been a while since I saw that movie too.
Yeah. That and Benny and June came out. That's when I realized he was going to be huge because he'd do anything.
Yeah.
Like Phoebe Cates.
Phoebe Cates can do anything.
She retired. Sucks.
Yeah, you gotta let these people retire when they're ready.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I know.
Everyone's
They
got
don't
to
owe us
eventually.
anything.
But when they're good, like I don't want to see Gary Oldman done.
Yeah, I mean,
It makes me sad.
some people,
I mean, Clint
some
Eastwood's
people
still
y-
making shit.
some people you want them to retire. And
Yeah.
some people you never want them to retire.
I had that moment yesterday when the kids were watching Home Alone 2. And I saw Tim Curry. I was like, because I think he had a stroke like 8 years ago or whatever. So now he's like in a wheelchair, and he's obviously doesn't carry himself like you remember him.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking of all the movies he could have done and stuff that he didn't get to do. Like he's one of those guys that I want to see in everything because I've never seen him in a bad part.
Yeah.
I'm sure Dan has.
I mean, he wasn't my favorite animated Joker, but who am I to judge?
Yeah, that's a tough gig.
Well, and here's the thing. I don't know if we've already talked about this on the show or not. Tim Curry, for George, I don't know if you know this, but Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, is like the famous animated Joker. He got the job after Tim Curry departed from the project. So there's existing audio from the pilot of the old animated series of Batman where Tim Curry is the voice of the Joker. And it's not as good as what Mark Hamill's doing. But you can
weird 'cause
hear
it's the
that
same animation.
a lot of what Mark Hamill does jumps off from where Tim Curry started. And you wouldn't have known that if you hadn't seen that clip that leaked this year. It's really interesting because it's like Hamill took it to the next level and made it better. But Hamill never gets to where he gets if he doesn't kind of springboard from what they started with Tim Curry. So
yes,
I appreciate what he did, but they made the right move moving on from him.
It's kind of like Stoltz to Michael J. Fox.
Yep.
Just made it better.
Yeah,
And
no
Eric Stoltz
offense
is a fine
to Stoltz.
actor.
Stoltz is probably okay, but
So anyway, the effects
oh my god.
Yes.
in this movie.
The stuff you can get away with when you're murdering puppets instead of people.
Yes, I was thinking that. I'm like, there's so much puppetry here. It's basically Sesame Street.
Yeah, but it's nowhere near it. Like we're talking
Wall.
$40,000 each
I know.
animatronic puppetry.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Not a
Like,
hand up
there's
someone's butt.
so much puppetry going on here.
Well, it was either
It's-
that or stop motion.
Right.
Which a little bit of the stop motion makes it in when
Yeah.
I think when all the gremlins come out of the YMCA in the street.
Yeah.
They're CG or they're stop motion. So
Okay.
you can tell what it could have been.
Honestly, I could have used more gremlins. You know, like I'm not kidding. Like
That's the tagline for this episode.
Right.
Honestly, I could have used more gremlins.
that scene when they're coming down the street, I'm like, oh my god, there's gonna be thousands of them. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna be like, you know, the orcs and Lord of the Rings. Like
That would have
it's
been
gonna
awesome.
be
that,
so
that
many.
shot.
And it's just like there's like maybe 200. I'm like, meh.
It's like Middle Earth.
I could have used more gremlins.
Maybe you can get Peter Jackson to do a Gremlins
Dude.
3.
Oh my god.
But
I think they are making a Gremlins 3.
I tell you, at the end of this
Actually.
movie, the really goopy death of that last gremlin, it feels like a scene cut from Meet the Feebles. Like I was ready
Yeah.
to watch Meet the Feebles again after watching that gross puppet death.
That is, I think that's like the pinnacle
That's my favorite.
of the effects in
and
this movie.
What I really love about it is it's a good callback to the 70s Hammer films, like the Dracula, when Dracula would get staked and then like someone would break glass and the sunlight would hit him. He would become like this vampire skeleton
Yeah.
and like then become dust.
Yeah.
And to me, that stripe without the, that skeleton, and then he goops into the ground. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't get any better than that.
The jump scare that happens in that scene got me pretty good.
Oh yeah.
You think it's like, oh man, Stripe's dead, and they lure you into that, like, end of Friday the 13th kind of feel, and then it's like, no, he's not dead, and then he's like, meh, and it's like, oh, okay, no, he's dead. Such a roller coaster, man.
It definitely is.
I think we figured out who the target audience of this movie is.
Yeah, it's George.
It's George.
You know what sucks? I lost a Trivial Pursuit game because the misprint in the game. It said the bad gremlin's name was Spike.
Yeah, that's wrong.
And I'm like, it's Stripe.
It's Stripe.
And Ron's like, no, the card says Spike. I'm like, but
Dude.
it's Stripe.
Dude, if you...
We argued.
Did you, like, look it up, or, like, did Google
I didn't have
exist?
to look it up. I knew it.
No, but, like, did Ron know it?
I don't know. It wasn't a wrestler.
That's true.
He could tell you who Roddy Piper wrestled in 1984 for the Intercontinental Tag Team belt at Madison Square Garden on a Saturday house show. But he couldn't tell me that was definitely Stripe. And I'm like, no, he says his name is Stripe. Like 3 times. It's in the credits.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah.
We moved on. We got through it.
I was going to say, did you guys, like...
I think we
kiss and
made
make up
yeah,
or whatever?
But it was touch and go for a while.
Got you.
Because I knew it was a misprint.
Yeah. When was this? Was this like...
This was like, God, 20 years ago.
Did like the internet exist? You could have looked it up.
Yeah, it was probably like early.
It probably would have been easier just to pop
Netscape
in.
time.
It probably would have been easier just to pop in the VHS.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
were still. It took us like 20 minutes just to load a picture
Yeah.
of a gremlin.
You'd be like, look, I got the VHS right here. We're gonna pop it in.
56K.
I'm gonna fast forward, and then you hold the button down, and you just wait, and you go, I'll get there.
Yeah,
I'll get there.
Ah, those days.
There were some good days.
Those were good days. So, what day next year are we watching this movie?
I don't know. Christmas Eve.
Okay. Oh, Christmas Eve movie is good. It's better than Christmas Story.
We can show all the kids.
But then when are you going to watch Silent Night, Deadly Night?
Never. Never again for the rest
I
of my
have that
life.
on Blu-ray. I think I might watch it this Christmas.
What? Silent Night, Deadly
Yeah.
Night? Why?
Just for nostalgia.
Now that you
So I can
know
hear
how
Dan in
crappy
my
it
head.
is, maybe you'll actually enjoy it this time.
It's true.
You should watch the second one.
Garbage Day. I want to watch Black
Garbage
Christmas
Day.
again. I watch
I
that
did
every
like-
year. That's an
I did
actually
like
good
that.
movie, though.
Yeah.
And so that's a little different. But
I think I like the movies that reference it more,
yeah.
but I do appreciate it.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of the stuff that we got.
Which one was Black Christmas? Did I
That
see
was the
that
one where the killer was like in the house and was calling them on the phone, and the big eyeball was watching them from upstairs.
Olivia Hussey, Margot Kidder. Really, really good.
You showed that to me?
Yeah, we watched
I've
that
seen that.
last year.
Yeah,
Last
you
Christmas
loved it.
we watched it.
Did I?
It was like your favorite movie of the year.
It was like the sorority girls, and they started getting bumped off.
Because then when we watched
Mm.
Scream, you were like, oh, it's just like in Black Christmas with the phone calls.
Why don't I remember
You
that
might need to
movie at all?
rewatch or re-listen to this whole like first 2 seasons of our show, man.
I think
Yeah.
I'm going to watch Black Christmas this week.
Yeah, check it out. That's
you
a good
do
one.
have it.
Because I'm going to take it on your authority that I liked it.
Yeah,
Watch it
it's
again.
good. And Meg should watch it. It's not like gross. It's just good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's not Scream good, but it's good.
As soon as I turn it on and be like, oh, yeah, this movie, yeah.
Yeah, I remember it. I didn't like it.
I
I
lied
like
to
the
those
horse.
guys.
The horse from Ren and Stimpy. No, sir, I don't like it.
Oh my god.
Sorry, 90s reference. Yeah. So the effects.
Yeah, the effects.
This movie made me. This is one of the movies that made me want to do that for a living.
Yeah.
Because, like you said,
I can see why. I mean,
when you're a kid and you watch movies like The Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, like, and Willow, like, these are all movies that use puppets. Gremlins,
Yeah.
even some of the Star Wars movies, the stop motion. It's like you're looking at it, you're like, I could do that.
There was somebody I'm going to butcher their entire point, but I'm going to try anyway. That it was saying how like Marvel movies are boring because the effects are so good.
Okay.
You know, and there is no oh my god, how did they do that anymore? You know, cuz it's just like, oh, computers.
I still
know,
watch it, and
There's no
like that's why I love Jurassic Park, because you can kind of go between.
which is
practical.
Right. Fine. No, Jurassic Park is a different animal because the CGI was so new back then. Now it's like perfect.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say cookie cutter, because those guys I'm sure work like really hard to get it perfect. But the point being, this movie still has that old effects you know,
practical effects feel.
Well, it's not even just the feel, it's practical effects.
Yep.
Where you watch it and you go, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Even though like it's not like compared to today's effects, like this, I mean, doesn't compare. Like these effects are not, they're not perfect.
But it holds up.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, definitely.
Like I mean, when you're watching this movie today, you know, like that this, you know how they did it, right? When you're watching it, you can just tell today. But the feat that it was is still so amazing that they did it even today.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like the transformation in Werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for today's standards, is it amazing? I mean, no. Like, because today we would do it with computers and it would just look seamless.
Or it wouldn't.
Or it wouldn't.
Right.
But, you know, you watch and you're just like, oh my God, this is amazing for that time.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. Like, you could cop out so easily and just not show it.
Right.
But they show it. And
the ones that are the best are 30 to 50 years old and they still look good.
Yeah.
When you watch The Thing, minus the remote control car head.
Actually, the effects in this reminded me of The Thing, too.
Yeah. But, you know, The Thing and Werewolf, and when you see The Howling, like, this was the pinnacle of practical effects.
Yeah.
The mid-'80s, before they started dabbling with CGI. Yeah, it's
I mean, to me,
days.
just knowing what I know, I think it's amazing. I could see like a punk teenager just like not understanding, being like, "This is stupid." But
well, when they don't know what goes into it, like I had that growing up. I was a big King Kong fan. I grew up loving that movie, but a lot of my friends were like, "Oh, look how jerky it is," and you want to punch them because it's like,
well, yeah, it was made in 1913 or something. Like, what do you expect?
But when you know what goes into doing that,
yeah,
when it's a forced perspective animation in front of a projected screen, a 13-inch doll that looks like it's 30 feet tall, it's like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
You watch the skeletons in Jason and the Argonauts, and these guys are fighting these skeletons.
Yeah.
And they're living guys doing choreography to 12-inch skeletons that are all animated individually, but they're all on screen at the same time. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that scale thing like happened later in like Star Wars is the one that I think of that does the scale thing really well.
Yeah, like the AT-ATs walking, they're only like 12 inches tall.
Yeah, the AT-ATs, just like the whole like the camera angles going through, going through like the Death Star. It's just, the camera going through a model.
Right. But even then they needed the CGI redos to make it look perfect.
Sure.
Cuz back then you can watch the old VHS and you can see their feet.
We should do that. Cuz I don't know if I've ever seen the original VHS. Cuz when did Star Wars come out? Like 73?
77.
77? Okay. So I didn't exist for another 11 years.
Yeah. You watch the originals, you can see the tricks.
I want
the
to see
trickery.
it so bad.
Most of it was fixed.
I
in
need to
the
get a
re-release.
VCR.
You do.
I do.
You do. I have one. You can come watch it. What would you give this movie? What would you give Gremlins?
Like
grade-wise?
out of 5 or
yeah.
a letter grade?
Out of 5 cocoons.
Out
How
of
many
5
cocoons
wet
would you give it?
gremlins.
Wet gremlins. 5 cookies. Gingerbread cookies.
I mean, this rating is not going to translate because I'm gonna give it like a 5.5.
Nice.
But I know that this movie is not for everyone, and that's fine.
It's totally fine.
But if you just want to be weirded out for an hour and a half or a tad longer, and you like dark stuff, and even if you want to just like laugh at how ridiculous something is, this is a great movie. It's over the top in a way that like
that's not even a good like to me it's like
but
when you watch Jaws, let's say you watch Jaws.
No.
It's
let
Jaws.
me rephrase.
It's as good.
Let me rephrase.
Okay.
No, I won't rephrase. Those are the reasons why I like it.
Okay.
Because it's dark, it's weird. It's like I mean like
it's a complete movie. It's just sometimes it's complete ridiculousness.
Yeah, it's a movie. It's a movie that I've never seen before. It's not like anything else.
Mhm.
And it's very hard to do that. You know, to
Right.
come up with an idea that is yours, like that is completely original. You know,
But what would make you like it even more is if you did watch Critters or Ghoulies or these other movies.
that's your guys' job.
Right. I'm
to
just
show
saying,
me
like
stuff
you'll
like
watch
that.
them and go, "Oh my god, that is like The Godfather compared to these things."
Right. Anyway, this movie's great, and because it's so original, it's so good. Never seen anything like it. Probably won't see anything like it again.
Nice. Dan?
I have seen the Key and Peele sketch about the writing of the sequel to this,
The sequel's a lot different.
and it
Yeah.
sounds like it's a lot different.
Yeah.
But the sketch alone made me think that it was probably worth pursuing at some point, just to see like
The sequel is fun.
what the heck they're doing.
Yeah, it's fun, but it's definitely a money grab.
Is Phoebe Cates in it?
Yes.
Well, there you
I
go.
might watch it.
You should watch the sketch just to see if it sounds like a movie you'd want to watch, because
Okay.
I don't know that it's gonna make a good argument to watch it, but it is a funny.
The
sketch.
reason to watch it is it John Glover
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
and Christopher Lee, isn't it?
Oh, Christopher. Well, there's your Star Wars connection. So,
Yeah.
oh my gosh,
And you get a bat gremlin, so you can't beat that either.
yeah, beat
I'm sold.
it. Yeah.
A gremlin with bat wings.
Yeah, Gremlins is weird. And I'm glad that George liked it so much, so now I understand who it was made for. But
It was totally made for me too.
it's one I'll probably watch it again later, but it's not going to be in my regular Christmas rotation by any means.
No, that's a mistake.
It's no Die Hard, man.
It's close.
Yeah, I mean,
Wait till the sequel when you see Gizmo watching Rambo, and he, you know what
First
he does with the
Blood?
Barbie car.
yeah.
Well, he does that after watching John Rambo in Rambo 3.
Oh my God.
It's good shit. He has a bow and arrow. That's all I got.
He's like, name it.
And a bandana. It's definitely like late 80s propaganda.
Oh my God, dude. I was at school and we were like, electrician school. We were stripping out this like really, really thick like
Slower.
wire.
Right.
To like just kind of like dissect it and like see what's in it and stuff. And this dude brought this knife that was like, it was like hooked with, and I've seen them before. They're like, I forget what they're called. But like the one dude's like, dude, what? He's like, what do you cut with that? And I was like, name it.
Boom.
What the hell do you cut with that?
Boom.
Name it.
Name it. Demons.
Demon.
That is such a great callback.
Nobody
That
got
no
it, by
one
the way,
gets.
either.
No, of course not.
Nobody.
No. That is strictly yours.
Name it.
Name it. And then if you start going, name it, name it, name it, name it, it makes it even
Like,
worse.
guys, there's a YouTube video about it. Look it up.
It's so bad. Okay.
So what is the movie next week?
So, in keeping with the holiday spirit, we are going to return to a franchise we've left dormant for a long time.
Okay.
Actually, we aren't going to return. He's going to return.
He will return.
Okay.
Yeah, we are going to be watching the 1992 classic, Batman Returns.
Really?
Do you know anything about Batman Returns, George?
No.
Okay.
I so can't wait for this.
Is it one of the better Batman movies?
Yes.
Actually, don't even tell me.
There's much discussion to be had about this movie.
But it's one you should definitely watch. The only thing I want you to know going in is that it is the direct sequel to Batman 89, the one with the Joker in it.
Yeah.
So
I remember 89.
that's all you need to know.
They had a model for the Batwing
Yes. Miniatures.
miniatures.
So good.
This movie is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yes. For many reasons. So I kind of can't wait.
All right. Well, I look forward to hating it. Just kidding. All right. Well, Dan, thank our listeners.
Listeners, thanks a lot. We appreciate you every week. And hey, hit us up in all the normal ways. remedialfilmpod@gmail.com, facebook.com/remedialfilmpod. Be sure to check out the Hysteria Continues podcast with their episode on Elves launching on Christmas Eve. Elves, I think I like better than Gremlins again after talking about it. So check that one out. Nazis, incest, one elf, elves. It's an army of one elf. And Grizzly Adams, for some reason. And we'll be back next week with Batman Returns on the Remedial Film Class Podcast. It's weird being the first time watcher. I don't know why
Mhm.
George puts up with this.
Now you know how I feel when I'm watching something that you're like, I love it. It's awesome. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I get it,
Yeah.
but I don't.
No, it's good.
I'm there.
It's fine. That's good. Don't show your kids though until you've watched it and decide like how old they need to be.
Oh yeah.
Definitely not one to like just blind watch with the kids.
Yeah, but also like watch the movie and think about when, and like as soon as you like think my kid might be ready, show it to them.
Yeah.
Like as soon as possible,
It's
but
actually
not too early.
This movie is a good way to tell your kids the truth about Santa.
That's
like
fantastic.
if they start nosing around, like, you know, Billy at school is telling me that, you know, you're Santa Claus and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, let's sit down and watch Gremlins.
This is gonna explain everything.
Don't buy your gifts in Chinatown, and don't wet your
This-
gifts after midnight
This is what happens
or feed them.
when parents try to play Santa Claus.
Yes. People die.
That's the lesson in this movie.
Dogs get hung from lights. Mrs. Deagle flies out her window.
I also like watched this movie. I'm trying to figure out what the lesson was. I shouldn't have done that. I'm like, what is the lesson here?
The lesson
I'm like
is
trying to
fucking
analyze
follow
it.
instructions, people. Your dad
That's
told
it.
you when he handed it to you.
That's it.
There's 3 rules. Follow them and you'll be fine.
Listen to the wise man. That's it. That's like
Well,
the only
yeah,
thing.
the wise man didn't want them to take them. But in
Yeah.
the end, don't let the 9-year-old spill water on your pet.
make sure you keep the batteries in your clock fresh.
Yeah. Those things are they were on top of it. Like, you're not going to make sure your clock isn't midnight.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You
Is
gotta-
it like Eastern Standard Time?
Yeah, that's true. Like, how does this work with like time zones and stuff?
And when can they eat? Is it like a whole Sabbath thing where they
And what can they eat?
Right.
Chicken wings, apparently. Is there anywhere I can get chicken wings right now? It's
Oh, I'm sure you
11:17 p.m.
DoorDash
You can't
it.
eat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just make sure you eat them before midnight.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Well, thanks, listeners. If you haven't seen this movie, definitely watch it.
Yes.
It's
It's
different.
A good watch.
It's so different.
It's a good date movie.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, especially the suicide part. That's good material, boys.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's
It's got Phoebe Cates. You'll love it.
It's got a flashing gremlin.
The gremlin literally has a trench coat on. And it has it closed and then opens it nice and wide. And I won't spoil it for you.
He just did.
No, I mean
Okay.
like what's under the trench coat.
Right.
I won't spoil it.
It's a deagle.
It's fantastic.
Deagle. Nice.
Oh, dude, there's a flashing gremlin.
There's a flashing gremlin. And there's a flash dancing gremlin.
What the hell? And flash dancing. Oh, and if you want to like get a leg up on them, you actually flash a light at them.
True.
There's lots of flashing in this movie,
Lots of flashing.
but there's some kinds of flashings that aren't
And
in there,
then there's
Two.
suicide.
and there's suicide.
And it's
So
Dead Santa.
very well-rounded movie, very grounded. It's fantastic. Go watch it.
Oh, God.